is up, fuckers? I am here with you on this final episode of Season 3 of the Fantasy Freestyle Podcast. It's December. I got my Christmas vibes going. It's a little chilly out here again. My niece is spending the night, so we gotta be quiet inside the house. But I'm out here with you guys, warm and ready to go over some fun Christmas-themed stuff. We're not going to do a regular episode like we've been doing every episode. I got some extra special segments for you, including stocking stuffers, some players that were just a delight to find you having on your team during the season. Then we'll go over some lump of coal players, some players that were very disappointing and did not deliver much happiness during the course of the season. And then lastly, we'll go over the ghosts of fantasy past, present, and future. Meaning a player who's old and needs to hang them up, a player who's new and up and coming and on the rise in the present, and a player who's currently killing it now. So let's go ahead and just get right into it. First off, we're talking about stocking stuffers. And I think everybody knows that this is a pretty obvious one, but these ones are mostly players that were drafted high and were picked to be good, so it's not much of a surprise that number 3 on the list of stocking stuffers is Justin Jefferson. Now, he's been playing fantastic. He has, out of every game this season, only 2 single-digit performances. He's averaging 14 fantasy points per game, and I think nobody expected Sam Darnold to be able to support this type of production from wide receiver, but JJ is just too talented. It doesn't matter who's throwing him the ball. Number 2, I have Jahmyr Gibbs, who looks absolutely explosive on every play. He is on one of, if not the best, run offense in the NFL, and he's averaging 17 points per game. If you've had Jahmyr Gibbs on your team, I think it's Stephon. I know he's definitely been the carrier of your team in multiple weeks. And number 1, once again, not surprising, but it is the old man, Derrick Henry. He's basically unstoppable. He hasn't missed a single game. And I know that very well because I've been stashing Justice Hill. He's averaging 21 points per game. How insane is that? He was taken 207 in our draft behind Travis Etienne and Jonathan Taylor. Can you believe that? Now let's go into some lump of coal players. Some players that you would have been upset to have on your roster to pull out on your Christmas weekend and realize that you may have been a naughty boy with that pick. The first one is Mark Andrews. And just because the first 5 weeks of the season he scored only single-digit points, where in 2 of those weeks he started, played the full game, and got you 0.0 points. He's picked it up a little bit more lately, but you had to stay in the flame. I know that there was plenty of people that dropped him and moved on, but if you stuck with it and you still have him, he definitely burned you. And actually, speaking of Travis Etienne from earlier, he's my number 2 pick for lump of coal players. All season long, he's only had 2 performances that were over 10 points, and one of them was 10.5, so barely. And that includes 1 week where he scored negative 0.10 points. He was drafted in our league at the 208 18th overall draft pick, and he's giving you just 5.6 points per game. Massive disappointment. Hold up, though. I just realized that both of these are Chef's players so far. And number 1, of course, how could we all not agree that it is CMC? Mr. Consensus number 101 before the season started immediately went on IR before game 1 due to Achilles tendonitis in both feet. He didn't play until week 10. He's played a total of 4 games for a total of 35 fantasy points and is now back on IR due to a non-contact knee injury. Honestly, I think old boy needs to just hang him up. I've heard all the shit he said about his dad training him since he was a young boy, But maybe all those years of not being allowed to drink water and lifting weights while you sleep probably wore down his body prematurely. Now going into the ghosts of fantasy past, present, and future, we'll start off with the past. Player who was once dominant but is now irrelevant. And that is Mr. Davante Adams. He's had a handful of decent performances this year, but mostly nothing but disappointment. He was taking at the 301, only had 3 games above 15 points this entire season. Now he's had a bad QB situation with the Raiders to start off, but now he might be in an even worse one with the Jets. He has at 8 points per game, but if you take out the 3 weeks that he was hurt, he's still at only 10.7. Not exactly what you'd expect from the 21st overall pick. Our player of the present is Brock Bowers. He's in full swing. He's killing it. He's currently 3rd in receiving yards of all positions, and he has more receiving yards than CeeDee Lamb. Most of the time it takes rookie tight ends a year to adjust and start going off a la Sam Laporta, but this guy is in the present. He's doing it, and he's doing it good. And the player of the future, breakout candidates for the season and on. Jayden Daniels. I mean, I hate to admit it, but the commies are starting to put it together. They got Scary Terry, who's always been a weapon, and now they have Jayden Daniels, who's currently ranked 2nd in EPA, which is expected points added. His rank is at 36.5. The only guy ahead of him is Patrick Mahomes at 38.5. And 3rd place below him is a huge gap, all the way down to 22.5. And that's according to Next Gen Stats. All right, well, we'll also have to give one more shout out to the Dub Club. Donnie, Eric, me, Vaughn, and Chef. Now, since I'm on a little bit of a short schedule this week and I'm outside recording and, all of the circumstances, there's not going to be any matchup recap for the week. But everybody just know that I clapped Raul pretty hard as well. For Thursday night's game coming on later today, we have the Packers at the Lions, with the Lions favored at 3.5, over-under being at 51.5. Should be an exciting game. The Lions always play really well inside their home dome. So I'm going to take the Lions, of course. They've been on an absolute tear, and I'm rooting for them actually to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. Well, that's it, guys. This has been a hell of a season. Honestly, this has taken the most out of me this year with the podcast, with my new work schedule. Sometimes I'll be staying up until 1:30 in the morning editing the video to get it done when I have to be at work at 9. Weekends when I've had to go race and switch my tires on and off of my car on my days off, and then also have to do the podcast after. It's just been a lot. And I'm not saying that this is going to be the final episode of the Fantasy Freestyle podcast, but I'm hoping that there's some lifestyle changes coming up for me that will allow me to have some more free time for you guys to keep doing what I love. I love this show. I love the camaraderie of our podcast, and I really hope to see you guys next season again right back here. But for now, this is me signing off from the Fantasy Freestyle podcast.
Another turning point, a fork stuck in the road. Time grabs you by the wrist, directs you where to go. So make the best of this test and don't ask why. It's not a question but a lesson learned in time. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life. So take the photographs and still frames in your mind, hanging on a shelf in good health and good time. Tattoos of memories dead skin on trial. For what it's worth, it was worth all the while. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life. It's something unpredictable, but in the end it's right. I hope you had the time of your life. It's something unpredictable, but in the end it's right. I hope you had the time of your life.